got a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your head. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That fella bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you with Toadstool Sports for Friday, May 29th. Went 0-1 on the show yesterday with the over in Anaheim and Detroit. I was right about some of the other things. Had the NBA game very correct, I think. I think I was right about most things with that, especially my strongest opinion on that Oklahoma City team total under. That was an easy one if anybody played that. That should have been the play, man. Should have done something differently. The Detroit Tigers, they just can't hit at all. Grayson Rodriguez, he's getting better, sure. I'm not surprised that he was the better of the two pitchers in the game, really, but I thought both teams were going to put up enough runs. That did not happen. There was, never a chance for that game to go over. If it did, we would have gotten lucky. I mean, Anaheim scored 2 extra runs in the 8th inning and in the 9th inning, I think, if I was watching that correctly. I wasn't really watching it. I was watching the score. Very boring game. When we move on to today, I'm going to have 2 baseball totals today. That's what I got. I don't love this baseball board. I feel out of sorts here. I mean, I did most of this handicapping last night, so I'm trying to remember what I even saw or how I was seeing these things last night. I woke up and I'm like, wait a minute, what were my thoughts on these games? I don't know, man. Just like yesterday, though, the first 2 games on the board, or on the schedule at least, are going to be the games that I have plays in. I believe that's what I have, so you're going to get both plays right away here. And, yeah, that's it. There's a hockey game. There's some WNBA, but I don't particularly like it. All right, let's get into it. We have, I'm having to use this, whatever this is, Player Props AI, whatever. It's the only place I can find betting splits now. Pre-game still has not fixed any of their shit. Wager Talk, I think, uses Odds Logic for their data, which is a premium service, but they were using, the free version of the data that doesn't, update in real time or whatever. Which was definitely still really helpful, but theirs is down right now. I don't know what is going on with them. Having some issues. So unfortunate. I want some tool back, man. I would like pre-games to come back because that was the one that helped me out the most, man. I've been considering buying Odds Logic. I'm not being paid to advertise for them or anything, but I know that it is a good tool. I believe I don't remember. I think I did a free trial of it way back in the day, not too long ago, but whatever. I don't know. Their product is pretty good, though. All right. But it's $100 a month. All right, first game up is Atlanta-Cincinnati. I'm going to give out a play on this game. This game, we're going to go over the total here, 9.5. I know I can't find the 9 out there. I know 9 is the key number, as I always point out, because baseball, if there's a tie, you got to break the tie. So there needs to be a 9th run if there's a 4-4 score. So 9 is key, but we need this to go over 9.5 for this. But I think it can happen. We're looking at Cincinnati. It's a hitter-friendly ballpark. And while, yes, I know Cincinnati was off yesterday, I know they're returning home from a road trip, but it was only a single-series road trip to the Mets. So I don't really think that it's that bad of a spot for Cincinnati here. Usually the longer road trips make that spot way worse when you return home because you get distracted, whatever. And do you really think Cincinnati is going to be distracted playing the Braves, who I think might have the best record in all of baseball. Probably they're not going to be distracted. Probably they will have to show up for a game against the Braves. But we don't need Cincinnati to win here. That's not what we're trying to do. We need runs. Hitter-friendly ballpark. I think the pitching matchup is conducive to this. And I know the Braves have a good bullpen. I get that. But they did use some of their bullpen yesterday, which, I think my bullpen, what happened to my bullpen window? Or, sorry, my bullpen tab. I think I have it in another window. Hold on. Whatever. I could just bring it back up, but here you go. Braves used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Obviously, Cincinnati was off. Braves do have the number 1 bullpen, and I know they wanted a blowout against the Red Sox yesterday. The Red Sox bullpen has started imploding. So, I don't know. It wasn't really Peyton Toley's fault in that game. You look at the final score and think that he did bad. That wasn't the case. The Red Sox bullpen was very bad in that game. Cincinnati's bullpen is really bad, though. So Cincinnati does have a bullpen disadvantage here for sure. They're ranked 28th. Braves ranked 1st. But again, we're wanting this game to go over. And I think with the combination of the starting pitching plus one bad bullpen here, I think that can get us to this over here. Hitting-wise, the Braves, that's going to factor into this too. The Braves hit really well on the road. They're one of the best road offenses, and they're also number 1 in hitting. Or no, they're number 3 in hitting right now. My mistake. Pretty close. Well, somewhat close, yeah. They're behind the Yankees and the Dodgers, but they're a good hitting team. Cincinnati has started hitting well again too. They're at 13th. So we have 2 offenses that are doing pretty well for the most part recently. So I like that. Grant Holmes is pitching for Atlanta. He's been decent, 3.78 ERA, but his whip kind of tells you there's something going a little bit wrong here. 1.3 whip. He's been better on the road this year, and I know he's on the road here, 3.63 road ERA, but he was way worse on the road than at home last year, and that was in a bigger sample size, so I still think that Holmes is fadeable in road games. I know he is pitching fairly well right now over his last couple starts. He had 10 strikeouts in his last outing. He's in good form right now for the most part, but he does still have 10 walks in 20 innings this month, and that is not great. Over the course of the season, his strikeout rate is below 1 per inning. Hit rate is also well below 1 per inning. That's pretty good, but his walk rate is high. Almost 1 every 2 innings, so that's not good. He walks too many guys, and then the clincher here is that he is not good against Cincinnati. In 36 at-bats, they have a 389 batting average against him, 1297 OPS, 9.3 strikeout walk ratio is fine, but they do also have 5 home runs against them, although only two of their hitters are factoring into that, Friedel and Suarez, but whatever. Holmes does not have good matchup numbers here. And Chris Paddock is pitching for the Reds. Yeah, I don't think he's trustworthy. He's got a 6.86 ERA, 1.67 whip. He's been awful at home, 12.67 home ERA. But remember, most of that was with Miami. He's only made 1 start with Cincinnati so far, so Cincinnati picked him up after Miami cut him. But I still don't think that's good because Miami's a more pitcher-friendly park than Cincinnati is. So, how could he really turn this around that much? He actually didn't pitch too badly in his first game against St. Louis. His first game with Cincinnati, which was against St. Louis. He gave up 3 runs, 5 innings, 7 hits, but he had 3 walks. That's not good. And 5 strikeouts. So it wasn't all good there. Plus, I feel like he was kind of pumped up to prove himself for his new team. I think this might be a different situation, man. He's going up against the Braves now here. He did pitch against the Braves while he was with Miami. He wasn't awful in that start, but he was very inefficient with his pitches. Didn't finish 5 innings there. It was on the road, and Atlanta actually, like I just said, they actually don't hit as well at home. I think they hit better on the road, which is pretty rare. And Chris Paddock does not... he has below 1 strikeout per inning. He has way more than 1 hit per inning. That's a huge problem. And then his walk rate is kind of mediocre as well, but he's been way too hittable. Against the Braves, I think you know what's coming. He doesn't have good numbers against the Braves, really. In 94 at-bats, 255 batting average allowed isn't that bad. 814 OPS, not good. So we're going to fade both starting pitchers here. Over is where we're going here. If we look at this screen here, because I'm using this player props thing, it looks like the over is getting the money here. 43% of tickets, 62% of the cash on the over. So 19% difference there, 19 percentage points, I should say. For what it's worth, it looks like there is a little bit of money on the Braves here as well. They're somewhere in the minus 150 range here. 82% of the tickets, 90% of the cash, according to the books that this site tracks here, which I think is basically just the primary online books. And I don't love that as much because the sharp, like offshore books don't get factored into this thing. But still, you can kind of gauge what's going on here. I wouldn't really disagree with the Braves side. However, the Braves played yesterday, so they're at a little bit of a rest disadvantage. Cincinnati does have the rest edge, but, I mean, Holmes is clearly better than Paddock. Atlanta has the better bullpen. Atlanta has the better offense. And they're seemingly not even that heavy of a favorite, although maybe you could argue it looks too easy to play Atlanta too. But, again, we're not going to try to play the side there. All right. Over is the call there. The next game on Apple TV, Minnesota and Pittsburgh. You got two teams that are unfamiliar with each other, so it's an interleague game. And what do I do in those a lot of times? I go with some sort of under, and that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go under 4 in the first 5 innings here. I don't like the bullpens, so I'm going to discount the bullpens. Both teams actually played yesterday, so I know that means the hitters don't have time to cool off. I like playing unders when teams have a day off because the bullpens are rested, and then the hitting could cool off a little bit, but we're going to take the bullpens out here. Both bullpens stink pretty much, especially Minnesota, so I'm going to take them out. Minnesota used 5 relief pitchers yesterday. Pittsburgh used 3, so we're taking them out of the equation here. Minnesota's got the 26th ranked bullpen, Pittsburgh 20th. Let's not deal with them. Both teams do hit fairly well. Pirates are 7th, Minnesota 16th, so kind of mediocre there, but I think the pitching can actually get us there in this game. And I think both these pitchers are just going to they're going to fly completely under the radar here, man. Nobody's going to look at this game and be like, oh, this looks like an under. But because I know who these pitchers are, I'm looking at it and I'm like, that sounds like an under to me, at least early in this game. Taj Bradley is pitching for Minnesota. He was injured for a little bit not too long ago, but he's been fine since he came back. He's been good this season, man. He didn't really start taking off in his career when he was with Tampa, but he showed signs. Like, I kind of liked like some of his numbers. Like, it looked like he had good stuff, and he's having a good year his first year with Minnesota. He's got a 2.77 ERA, 1.17 WHIP. He's slightly worse on the road, I know, 3.03 ERA, and Pittsburgh does hit really well at home. I get that, but I think we can still get there with this one. Bradley, he's pitched pretty well since he came back from injury. It was actually only 1 start. It was against the Red Sox. I know they're not a good offense here, but Red Sox have been hitting better, though, recently. So that was Bradley faced the Red Sox when they were starting to come into better form, and he did hold them to 1 run in 5 innings and didn't throw that many pitches. So I think they're like ramping him back up a little bit. But he's been pretty good this season, man. He's got more than 1 strikeout per inning by quite a bit. His walk rate's not that bad, and his hit rate is also low. So I kind of like what we're seeing here. His numbers against Pittsburgh are not going to look good. He's allowed a 300 average, 764 OPS, but only 2 of their hitters have ever faced him before. Literally only Horwitz has any hits off him, and Ozuna has a walk. But Horwitz is 3 for 6 with a double. Other than that, nobody in this Pittsburgh lineup has a hit off of Bradley. That's because nobody besides those 2 guys has ever even faced him. So I think Bradley does have an unfamiliarity edge here. When I talk about this, when hitters have to figure out a pitcher for the first time, it takes them a little while. Sometimes they could struggle through the first couple of at-bats, and that's what we're looking for here. So I like Bradley here. And Jared Jones is pitching for Pittsburgh. This is a name I haven't heard for quite a while because he got injured in spring training last year and missed the entire season. And in 2024, I talked about him on the show back in 2024, and I liked him. He was pretty good. He had a 4.14 ERA in his rookie season with Pittsburgh that year when he was 22 years old. But he had a 1.19 WHIP, so his WHIP was good. He had over 1 strikeout per inning. He was solid, dude. His walk rate wasn't really that bad either. So a lot to like there, and his hit rate wasn't high either. So I think Jones is actually good. I think he's the real deal. He's been going through his rehab. He's ready to go because the Pirates are putting him back out there. This is going to be an interesting pitching rotation, man. If he rejoins and he's doing anything near what he was doing in 2024, he's definitely going to improve this Pirates pitching staff, dude. Maybe this Pirates team will make the playoffs. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, but I like Jones. I liked what we saw at him 2 years ago. I looked at his minor league rehab stuff, and they gave him like one start in single A, one start in double A, and one start in triple A, and he wasn't that good in the triple A start, but I'm not that concerned about that. I think he's ready to go. We've seen what he's done in the majors in the past. He's already proven he could pitch at this level. It's just a matter of, is he going to be able to come back from this injury? And if they're putting him out there, that's the coaches, the team's saying he's ready to go. So I think he is. I'm going to go with that. And he's going up against a Minnesota team that's not very familiar with him. They only have 8 at-bats against him across 3 of their hitters. Only Larnach has a hit off him, a single. So they have no extra base hits, 3 strikeouts, no walks. The rest of the lineup has never faced him before, so I think that's an extra advantage to him as well. Under first 5 is where I'm going with this. Minnesota and Pittsburgh. The money seems like it's slightly indicating towards the under. We have 50-50 on the tickets, 56% of the cash on the under, so that is where I'm going with that one. And for what it's worth, Pittsburgh is a favorite at around minus 140 or so here, and the money looks like it's fading Pittsburgh, though. 63% of tickets are on them because they've been hot, dude. They even though they lost to the Cubs yesterday, with Skeens on the mound. Skeens only gave up 1 earned run in that game, so it wasn't exactly his fault. 54% of tickets on Minnesota there. So the money's hitting Minnesota. I don't know whether I like that or not as far as the under, because I don't even know which one of these pitchers is considered to be like the less, I guess Jones, is the less established, so I don't know if I really love that, but either way, I like the under in this one, man. When I saw that Jones was coming back, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm just getting a little bit excited for Jones to come back. I don't know, because I liked him 2 years ago, gave out some winners involving him that year, so I don't know. But that's the other play. Everything else is just going to be my opinions on the rest of these games. San Diego at Washington. Washington is returning home from a road trip, and right away that means I kind of want to look to fade that team. They went to Atlanta and Cleveland. Not really that bad, but still they've been away for more than a week. You come home, a lot of times you get distracted. You have to get back to home life. I don't think Washington's a particularly good team. Their pitching tends to be really bad at home. And they're facing San Diego, but maybe that will focus them a little bit because San Diego's been a pretty good team here. San Diego just got swept by Philly, though, at home. So I think it might be good for them to just start a road trip. They were off yesterday. Both these teams were off yesterday, I'm pretty sure. So there's no rest advantage here, disadvantage. San Diego is having to travel to the Eastern time zone, but I think that's easier to do than going from east to west for a late-night game. I think this should be fine. San Diego, it'll be like playing an afternoon game basically on the Pacific Coast, and that happens all the time in baseball. So I think San Diego should be fine with that. Looks like it could be bounce back time after they scored only 3 runs in an entire series against Philly. But San Diego's pitching was still good in that series, and their pitching is indeed good. San Diego is 5th in bullpen based on WHIP. Their ERA is one of the best ERAs, though. They're good for sure. Philly has been... Wait, no, we're not talking about Philly. Who are we talking about? Washington. Yeah, their bullpen's bad. Washington, 24th in bullpen. Hitting-wise, Washington's been way better. They're 4th. And San Diego's 29th. But maybe they'll be able to hit some at Washington, where, again, Washington gives up a ton of runs at home. Lucas Giolito is getting the start for the Padres. He's been pretty good so far, sort of. 2.7 ERA does look good, but a 1.3 WHIP is a little high. Kind of tells you he's putting some guys on base here. His road start was worse than his home start. His road start was at a pitcher-friendly park in Seattle as well, and he didn't really pitch well in that one. He did one hit them through 5 innings, though, but he gave up 3 earned runs. His walk number wasn't good. And that's really been the problem with him. He came back home and he shut out the A's, so these numbers kind of look good. He's been really hard to hit. 5 hits so far in 10 innings, but he's walked 8 guys and only struck out 5. I mean, you can't continue with a ratio like that and continue to pitch that successfully, man. So that walk rate worries me. I'd be willing to give him a pass for that first outing because, he was coming back into the majors, because the Red Sox cut him, I believe, at the end of last year, and he had not found a home yet. He's good enough to pitch in the majors, I'll give you that, although I thought that he overperformed with the Red Sox. Like, the advanced analytics guys were telling you, like, this Giolito guy, isn't as good as his numbers look. What did his numbers look like against Washington? Well, they're pretty good in 16 at-bats. I know it's a small sample. 188 batting average allowed, 465 OPS, 3.2 strikeout walk ratio. So Giolito might actually pitch fine here. Paxton Schultz is getting the draw for the Nationals, and I'm like, well, why? Because he's a relief pitcher, so you got to figure out why are they doing that. His numbers also are not good. 5.3 ERA, 1.45 WHIP. A lot of that is because he had a third of an inning 2 outings ago where he gave up 6 earned runs to the Mets. That's almost unbelievable. That's not good, but that outing is skewing his numbers completely because his other outings this season were not that bad. But he's only going to give you an opener here, so Washington's going with a bullpen game, and their bullpen's bad. Their pitching is bad at home, and the only reason they're doing this is because Jake Irvin is hurt. I'm pretty sure it was Jake Irvin's turn in the rotation because what I do when I see something like this is I go back. What happened 5 games ago? Who was their pitcher? Why is he not pitching now? That type of thing. So Jake Irvin is injured, and it looks like Washington's going with a bullpen game. I do not think that's a good idea as far as they're concerned. I think I would lean San Diego here, man. It's a return home spot for Washington. I don't know if I fully trust Giolito, but he does have the good matchup numbers here. That would be my lean. Let me see what the money looks like here in this one. The money is, it looks like a lot of it is on the spread, but the money line is still getting the action with San Diego. 60% of tickets, 74% of the cash on them. My one issue, though, is it looks too easy almost. San Diego, you're basically getting a pick'em price, like minus 114. It looks so easy to play San Diego in this game, the team with the better record, whatever. Even though I know it's the public a lot of times is, what have you done for me lately? And San Diego sucked lately, but still, I like San Diego here, and the public still looks like they're on that side, which still concerns me a little bit, but the money does look like it's indicating that way. I agree with it. Toronto at Baltimore. These teams already started their series yesterday. Toronto won the game 2-1. So that was not what I expected. I thought there would be a lot more runs in that game. Baltimore used 3 relief pitchers. Toronto used 4. I don't really love either of these bullpens, although Toronto is the better of the two. They're actually at 9th now, which isn't too bad. Baltimore 18th. Baltimore's a little bit more rested, but Toronto does have the better bullpen, probably still. Baltimore has the better offense. They're 12th. Toronto is 23rd. Not very good. Toronto also has not decided on a starting pitcher here still, it looks like. This one problem with this site is it doesn't really tell you, although maybe if I look at the some other page on the site, it might tell me, but it seems like they have not decided on a pitcher yet. Baltimore is going with Trevor Rogers. He has really not been good this season. After he was really good for them last year, he's been awful. 6.96 ERA, 1.62 WHIP. That is not what you want. He's been a little bit better at home. 6.11 ERA, still not good. He's been really still bad this month. 8-7 strikeout walk ratio. Tons of runs allowed. Way more than 1 per inning, which is ridiculous. More than 1 hit per inning as well. A lot of walks. Nothing is going right for Rogers right now. Against Toronto, he has decent numbers in 28 at-bats, 250 average allowed, 614 OPS, 8.5 strikeout walk ratio, not great, but 3 of those walks are Vlad Guerrero, who has hit him okay, 3 for 6. So he might be pitching around Vlad Guerrero there. But, I can't trust Rogers in a situation like this. I looked back and I was like, well, who did Toronto have pitching 5 games ago? And it was Dylan Cease, but he's hurt. So it was supposed to be Cease pitching in this game. and he has ceased to be in their starting rotation. That sucks for Toronto, dude, because he's been one of their best pitchers, and now he's on the shelf for at least a little while. So I don't know how Toronto's going to fill this spot. It looks like they're either going to go with a bullpen game or call somebody up. I mean, I could see an argument for I guess you could almost blindly go over in this game. But I don't know, because Rogers has decent matchup numbers. If Toronto calls up some, prospect that's actually a stud, then I would change my mind on that. But if Toronto's going with a bullpen game, then that would have me definitely considering over in this game. But as it stands right now, I don't want to do anything with it. I don't think I would anyway, but let me look at this game here. Oh, here it is. The money is indicating that way. 56% of tickets, 68% of the cash on the over. 8.5 is the number there. The money line is basically a pick 'em, and it looks like the money is kind of on Toronto, which is ridiculous. 52% of tickets, 54% of the cash on them, even though you don't even know who's pitching for them, so that's great. I would not do that. All right, Anaheim at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is returning home from a road trip, so again, I will say it's not a good spot typically when a team returns home from the road. Even though I know Tampa Bay just got swept by Baltimore. They lost the last 4 games on the road trip. They were at the Yankees, then at Baltimore. I know a lot of the tendency, especially with a team like Tampa, because they have a good record, is like the recreational bettors are going to think, well, they're going to be back at home. They're going to bounce back now, right? And want to play them now that they're back at home. But I disagree with that sentiment, obviously. Even if the road trip was bad, regardless of whether it was good or bad, I think it's a bad spot on the return home because you have to get back to home life, whatever. At least the good thing for Tampa, though, is that they stayed in the Eastern time zone. It was all divisional opponents, so that makes it a little bit easier. It's a more familiar type of trip for them. But I do really see them paying that much attention to Anaheim. I'm not sure about that, but the negative for Anaheim is they played yesterday. They did win. They're actually playing good baseball again right now somehow, even though this is not a good Anaheim team, but they have won 5 of their last 6 games, winning the series against Detroit yesterday. But we know Detroit has really been struggling recently. But still, it's a negative that Anaheim is in a no-rest spot here, and they're having to travel to Tampa from Detroit. Anaheim also has a bad bullpen, and they used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, so they're at a disadvantage there too. Tampa's bullpen hasn't been that good. They're at 16th, but Anaheim's is 29th and unrested, so we know that's not good, obviously. So Tampa has a rest edge. They have a bullpen edge. Tampa's offense has been the better one as well. They're at 9th. Anaheim is 19th. Walbert Urania is getting the start for the Angels. He hasn't been that bad. This is his rookie campaign. He's got a 2.58 ERA, which is really good. 1.38 whip is not good. Obviously, that tells you his ERA should be higher than that. We have to take that into account. He's been much better at home than on the road, and he's on the road here where he has a 5.23 ERA on the road this year. So he pitches worse on the road. Most of his recent starts have all come at home, and his walk rate is still too high. Like, he's pitching all right as far as the fact that he has a 1.67 ERA this month, but he has 12 walks in 27 innings, along with 23 strikeouts. So the walk number is a bit concerning. Only 16 hits, though, so he's not been hittable. He's allowed below 1 hit per inning on the season by quite a bit. Strikeout rate is decent. It's almost 1 per inning. His walk rate is high, so that's his issue. He's got to somehow get these walks under control. But one good thing is he is unfamiliar to Tampa Bay. So, again, when you have a young starting pitcher like this, unfortunately, he's from a place called Mao in the Dominican Republic. They must be communists there. But he has not been seen before by Tampa Bay. So that's an advantage to him because these young pitchers, when they're good, which I think he is. The opposing lineup can struggle a little bit against them, so he has that advantage at least. But I still think Nick Martinez, who's pitching for Tampa, has been the steadier pitcher here. I mean, his numbers are kind of ridiculous. 1.51 ERA, 1.11 whip. Obviously, I do not expect him to sustain that, but he's pitched pretty well. He's been even better at home, 1.14 ERA. This month, he's allowed 3 earned runs total in 22 2/3 innings. Tampa's won 5 of his last 6 starts. In fact, they've won 8 of his 10 on the season, it looks like is what that is. He's allowed more than 1 hit per inning this month, though, so that is concerning. And his strikeout rate is really low. So he's not really fooling hitters. So this is kind of a, like he looks like he's been good where he's been allowing not many runs, but he did it against Toronto, Boston, Miami. I know he also did it to the Yankees last time out. That was the only good offense that he faced in that stretch, but he only struck out 1 guy against the Yankees. His strikeout rate, like I said, is concerningly low here. Hasn't really walked that many people, but he's obviously too hittable right now because more than 1 hit per inning is kind of gross. On the course of the season, though, he's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning. His walk rate is not that high, like I said, and his strikeout rate is also low. So those are kind of in line with what he's done this month. He's just not really a strikeout pitcher, though, and he's 35 years old. Martinez, so we have a big age gap between these two pitchers. Let's not talk about age gaps, man. His numbers against Anaheim are good in 45 at-bats, 200 batting average, 650 OPS, 7-5 strikeout walk ratio. That's not good, but the rest of those numbers are good. I don't even know what I want to do with this game, man. There are just too many things about it that are in conflict with each other. The money is fading Tampa Bay, at least on the money line. They're a big favorite at minus 180 or so here. 84% of the tickets, 73% of the cash on Tampa. So the money is fading them, and I can see that sentiment. Again, they're returning home from the road. They're running into kind of a hot Anaheim team here. But Anaheim also has a rest disadvantage. If I was going to play Anaheim, I would only do it first 5 innings, but even that I don't like because I don't really want to fade Nick Martinez either. But I really would not want the Anaheim bullpen, you know what I mean? The spread, the run line is getting some money for Tampa here. Because that's what the professional bettors do, try to get the price down. If they like the favorite, they're going to start looking at the run line and whatever. I can see the arguments for the run line here. I mean, Tampa has the advantage. Honestly, I think Tampa has the advantage in all 3 phases, starting pitching, bullpen, and hitting. But I don't really like the spot. But still, the spot is also negative for Anaheim. So I think I probably do actually have to lean to Tampa Bay here. All that being said, it would be like a split bet situation. Run line, money line, make your own -1 run line there, whatever. And the total's 8, and money is seemingly indicating on the under, but I don't have a great feel for that. But I will say, if you go under, I mean, it kind of makes sense to do it first. If you go under, you have to do it first 5 innings because I don't trust either bullpen, especially Anaheim's, and an unrested Anaheim bullpen. First 5 under makes some sense, but you have to worry about Urania, on the road. He's not quite as good as his numbers might make him look. Martinez is probably the guy you have to worry about less because he's been good, plus his matchup numbers look good. All right. Gerald, what's up, man? Yes, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, first 5 under, and the other one was over 9.5. I'll bring it back up in the first game, which is, what was it? Braves, Reds, over 9.5. That was the other play. Those are my only 2 of the day, man. I'm trying to go 2-0 here. Hopefully we could do it. You could watch later. You can see how I broke that game down and analyze that. But it's, over in that Braves-Reds game. Unfortunately, I do not think you're going to find a 9 on that, so you do have to go over that hook. But I have my reasons for it. Red Sox at Cleveland. The Red Sox lost 10-2 yesterday, but they were in that game, dude. The game was 2-2 in the middle of the game. Tolley was dueling Chris Sale in the game. Tolley got a little bit tired, quit more quickly, even though he's younger. He's less experienced, whatever. And the Red Sox bullpen came in and absolutely trashed the game. I don't know what's going on with this Red Sox bullpen. It's bad, dude. It's a bad situation right now. Even though they only used, they used 5 guys out of the bullpen. That's also not good. So the Red Sox and Whitlock, I guess, is hurt. They haven't used Chapman in quite a while, but I think that's just because they haven't had a save situation. But this Red Sox bullpen is not in good form right now, and it's trashed. So that's not good. They're also facing a Cleveland team that I believe didn't play yesterday. So that's also not good. Cleveland is resting, and they're staying at home because they're coming off a home series against Washington. Is that who it was? Yeah, so this is a disadvantage to the Red Sox for multiple reasons. No rest plus travel plus an unrested bullpen. Not a good start handicapping this game for the Red Sox here. Red Sox are still 6th in bullpen, though. Their bullpen is still good if they fix their shit. They were pitching really well before this recent home stand that they had. So this is a better pitching environment, though. Cleveland is a more pitcher-friendly stadium than Fenway Park is. Even though the Red Sox haven't hit well at all at home, except recently they've started hitting a little bit better. Anyway, Cleveland's bullpen is okay. They're 12th. So given the rest situation, I think Cleveland probably does have a bullpen edge here somewhat. Red Sox offense has moved up a little bit. They're 21st right now. Cleveland is 20th. So these offenses are both not great. Now, the Red Sox are doing something interesting here. Maybe they listen to me. So this is going to be a Brian Bayo Red Sox game here. And I know he sucks, but what they've been doing is they've been putting an opener in front of him. It was Moran who they put in front of him the first 3 times they did that. And actually what they did is they did that twice. And Bayo pitched really well in both those outings. So Bayo was sucking ass as a starter. He's not a good pitcher, dude, but he's got a mental thing. So when they put an opener in front of him, he pitched way better. So then they said, okay, he must be ready to return to the starting rotation. I was like, nope, this is a mental thing. It's the yips or something. He's going to be bad again. And I was right. He was terrible. So then what did they do? They moved him back to another situation where they had him follow an opener. It was Moran again. And what happened? Bayo actually was pretty decent again in that game. But Moran, every time Moran has been an opener, he's allowed runs. Every single time. So he sets the pace for the game. He puts the Red Sox in a hole right away. So I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Moran obviously is not the guy for the opener role here. Just put him back in the bullpen. Have him pitch like you normally would. And they're listening to me because the Red Sox are now going with Tyler Samaniego as their opener this time. He's been good this year out of the bullpen. We'll see what he does as an opener. But he's only going to pitch 1 inning, and then Brian Bayo will pitch probably, I would guess, 5-6 innings after this, especially because the Red Sox want to save the bullpen, so they might just let Bayo go, even if he's sucking. Samaniego has a 1.04 ERA, 1.15 whip. I don't really want to dive into the stats too much, but yeah, he's going to be an opener here. Although he hasn't pitched since the 23rd, but I don't think they're going to have him go more than an inning here because he's primarily pitched 1 inning every time he's been out there or less. So I'm pretty sure that that's what they're doing. They're going to have him pitch, and then they're going to go to Bayo as the guy that's going to get most of the innings here. Let me make sure of that. Yeah, because you go 5 games back, it was that Moran-Bayo game. And Bayo, again, he actually did pretty well in that game. So we're going to bring him up right now because he is going to, I'm almost positive that's what they're doing here today. As a Red Sox fan, I should know. Brian Bayo will be pitching. He's been awful on the road, though. 8.01 road ERA. That is really bad. So you'd rather have him pitching at home. Overall in the season, his numbers are awful. I know. 6.43 ERA, 1.8 whip. He's not a good pitcher, dude. I know. But you look at this month, 3 good starts this month. All of them were when he came in after an opener at Detroit, home against Philly, and home against Minnesota. And his one bad start was when he actually started the game on the road against Atlanta. So putting him behind an opener is working. He's pitched better this month because of that. And even including that bad game this month, he's got the one where he started. He's got a 3.47 ERA, 18-6 strikeout walk ratio. More than 1 hit per inning still, but again, that's because of that one bad start for the most part, although he did allow too many hits last time out against Minnesota, but he didn't allow any earned runs. Bayo, I mean, over the course of the season, his numbers are really, really ugly. He's allowed way more than 1 hit per inning. Horrible. 10 home runs, also bad. High walk rate, too, bad. Low strikeout rate, bad. So do we really want to trust him here? I don't know, but you can see that every one of his good outings has come in this situation where they put an opener in front of him. And in fact, he hasn't been bad in any game where they put an opener in front of him. So you have to weigh that, dude. And against Cleveland, I think he actually has decent numbers as well. Yeah, they only have 21 at-bats against him. They have no extra base hits against him, a 238 average, 542 OPS, 238 batting average allowed. So Bayo might actually pitch well here, again, it looks like I would lean towards Bayo actually having a decent outing here. And the good thing for the Red Sox is they get to face Slade Ciccone at least, because he's not a good pitcher for Cleveland, at least not really, not right now. 5.18 ERA, 1.48 whip. He's been better at home, though, 3.6 home ERA. So the home road splits do favor Ciccone here. Ciccone has pitched well this month for the most part, though. 4 ERA this month, 22-7 strikeout walk ratio in 27 innings. Cleveland had won 4 starts in a row of his before they gave him no run support in his last outing, which was a decent outing against Philadelphia. But he's allowed 32 hits in those 27 innings. So he's still been hittable this month. And over the course of the season, he's been 2 hittable. More than 1 hit allowed per inning. His walk rate's still pretty high. Strikeout rate is low as well, or not high enough, really. For a guy like him, where I thought he was more of a strikeout pitcher. So I don't really like his numbers, and his numbers against the Red Sox are also not good. It's only 13 at-bats. I know it's a small sample, but the Red Sox have done a lot of damage. 462 batting average, 1423 OPS, 4-1 strikeout walk ratio. I know you have to weigh the sample size accordingly and whatever. I'm thinking Red Sox first 5 innings here, man, even though I know the Red Sox played yesterday. But maybe one good thing is they're starting a road trip. And, I talk about that too. When a team starts a road trip coming off an ugly homestand, which it was, they lost 5 of 6 games. A lot of times it's good to just go out on the road, forget about it. The Red Sox have hit better on the road this season as well, for the most part, even though I know they started hitting decently in that homestand, and their pitching blew most of the games for them. But still, there are some things that are positive here. I would exclude the bullpens, even though the Red Sox bullpen generally is good. They're at a rest disadvantage here where I would not want to deal with that. If Samaniego can have a clean inning there, give it over to Bayo. And then you get Bayo for the rest of those first 5 innings up against Ciccone. I actually think the Red Sox have the advantage there. So I think that's the way I would lean. Red Sox first 5. Once it gets to the full game, I'm definitely not, I would be less confident in that. The money is coming in on Cleveland, though. 67% of tickets, 86% of the cash on Cleveland. That's for the full game. They're about a minus 120 favorite there. But also, it almost looks kind of easy to play Cleveland, right? Because they're leading their division. They have a good record. The Red Sox record is awful. They're in last place in their division. So it looks pretty easy to play Cleveland at that cheap of a price. You know what I mean? So there is that, too. But, of course, you're getting the worst pitcher from the Red Sox here. But it's in a situation where I think he might pitch okay. So that's what I have to say about that game. The total is at 8, by the way, and the money's coming in on the over in that game for what that's worth. I see the arguments for it. I mean, you have an unrested Red Sox bullpen, but still, I don't know. There are some things about it I don't like, obviously. I think the Red Sox might be able to hold Cleveland's offense in check a little bit, at least for the first half of the game. So I don't really want to deal with that. All right. But yeah, I think Red Sox first 5 would be my opinion in that game. All right. Miami and the Mets. We have the same pitching matchup that we had back when these teams just played in Miami. And I gave you guys an under in that game, and it was a nice winner with Meyer against Peralta. But I don't like it as much in this game here at the Mets because the home road splits actually are both against it. Whereas back when we had the game in Miami, I thought it was more conducive to it. Part of it was the home road splits both lined up for it. Although this definitely could still be an under. I look at that starting pitching matchup, and I'm like, that's a good starting pitching matchup. Both teams were off yesterday. Mets are staying at home. They just ended a losing streak, so that should help the Mets. They had lost 5 games in a row. What else is new? And then they finally beat the Reds in their most recent game. So maybe the Mets will have a little bit of... they'll have ended their losing momentum, you know what I mean? So sometimes when a team ends a losing streak, they will have that new momentum and play better in the next game. I believe the Mets got swept by Miami in that recent series too. Yeah, so the Mets probably have a motivational edge here because they just got swept at Miami. So they're going to be focused for this game. They're going to want to get some wins here against the team that just swept them. Miami is coming in off of 2 losses, though, but they're continuing a road trip coming down from Toronto. I think that's not that bad either, though. I think Miami will also show up for this game. I mean, these teams are both neck and neck kind of in last place in the NL East right now, and it's still the New York Mets. I mean, they're a big market team. Like, I think when you're a small market team like Miami, you usually get up for like any game against the Mets pretty much. Mets might have a bit of a motivational edge anyway, though. I think the situation does favor them a little bit. Both bullpens rested, so that does help if you like an under here. Miami's got a good bullpen. They're number 4. Mets are number 11, but their bullpen ERA is pretty good. So both these bullpens are good and rested. The offenses have not been great. So a lot of that factored into that under I gave out in that other game that I was just talking about with this same pitching matchup. Miami is 17th. The Mets are still dead last at 30th in offense. Max Meyer is pitching for Miami. He's been really good. 2.52 ERA, 1.05 whip. He's been less good on the road. 3.98 ERA is not exactly bad, though, but he is a little bit more beatable on the road. His last start was that game against the Mets where I gave you guys the under. He one-hit shutout them for 7 innings, had 3 walks, 8 strikeouts. So the walk number was a little bit high, but his walk number hasn't been a problem this season, so I'm not really worried about that. I think Meyer should pitch well again here. Like, that would be my guess. Like, I don't really want to go against him right now. Marlins have won 5 games in a row that he's pitched. He's got a good strikeout rate on the season, way over 1 per inning, way below 1 hit allowed per inning. His walk rate actually is a little bit high, but it's been better recently. He's got that walk number down this month, along with all of his other stats remaining good. So he's pitching well here. I mean, I don't think he's going to do this well again. Now that the Mets just saw him again, they might hit him a little bit better. But then again, this Mets lineup has been really bad this year, and they don't have good numbers against Meyer in more than just that one start. He's got 32 at-bats against them. He's held them to an 0.94 average, 319 OPS, 11-4 strikeout walk ratio. That is dominant stuff, man. 11 strikeouts, 4 walks, and only 1 extra base hit, a double from Vientos. Meyer, I mean, he dominates the Mets. That is the case. So even though this is on the road, I still expect him to pitch well. Fedde Peralta will be going for the Mets. He's been pretty good. 3.52 ERA, 1.27 whip. Little bit high-ish, but, I mean, that's usually what you get out of him. He's been a little bit worse at home. 3.76 home ERA. He's pitching pretty decent this month, although he had 1 start where he walked a ton of guys against the Yankees, which is jacking his walk number up. That's kind of a little bit of a blip, though. In that game where I gave out the under against Miami, he did give up 4 runs in 7 innings, but 2 home runs didn't help his cause, obviously. He still had 9 strikeouts, 2 walks, allowed 8 hits, so the rest of those numbers weren't really that bad. He did still pitch pretty well there. Over the course of the season, he's got over 1 strikeout per inning, well below 1 hit per inning, and his walk rate is too high. That's always his one issue, is the walks. But usually he's a pretty good pitcher anyway. Numbers against Miami, they are decent, but his OPS does worry me. So that's another reason why I'm just going to stay away from this a little bit. But I still do lean under in this one as well. I mean, just sticking with what works, But this is a little bit of a more questionable situation this time, even though the rest does help for sure, which I think was the case going into that other game that I gave out the under to. I think the teams were rested then too. Peralta has 63 at-bats against Miami, 238 batting average allowed, 787 OPS, though, is what I was talking about. That is higher than that threshold you'd like to see, which I think that if it's above 750, it means the hitters have gotten to him, although the average is pretty good. He's held them to a low batting average. 25 to 10 strikeout walk ratio. That's part of the problem. There are a lot of walks, but 5 of them are from Morel. So I still lean under in this game. That is probably still the way I would play it if I was going to play this game. The money seems to be pretty strongly indicating that way. We have 61% of tickets on the over, 62% of the cash on the under. Looks like it's 7.5, so you'd get under that key number of 7.5 with the hook. So that would be what I would do if I was going to play this game. I think I would still do that and go under the 7.5, but that one is not quite on my card. It's fairly close. Like, I looked at it and I was like, I think I'm going to just do what I did last time and play the under here. I just have a few more concerns about it. The home road splits are not as good for it this time at the Mets Stadium. Well, I already talked about all of it, and I don't like that Peralta OPS against there. As far as the side, Money is coming in on the Mets. 47% of tickets, 53% of the tickets are on the Marlins, and then 54% of the cash on the Mets. Do with that information what you want to. Mets are a small favorite, around minus 120 something here. I don't think I would do that. Like, Max Meyer is an underdog. Like, really? Yeah, I don't know if I love that, dude. I know, the Mets do have that momentum. I think it is a little bit of a better situation for the Mets. So, again, I don't want to try to pick the side there. But I think just from a matchup perspective, though, I would prefer Meyer over Peralta. And, and probably Miami's bullpen as well. So I think Miami has and their offense. So I actually think Miami has a slight edge in all three phases there of the matchup, even though it's slight. So getting them as a dog looks a little bit enticing. All right, Cubs at St. Louis, and I don't mean enticing from a public bettor's perspective. I don't think they're going to think that, but who knows? Well, it looks like they kind of are slightly based on those percentages I just talked about. All right. Cubs at St. Louis. Is that what I'm looking at here? Yeah. Cubs just finished a series with 2 wins. Like I said, dude, they broke a losing streak. You break a long 10-game losing streak like that, a lot of times you will play well again in the next game, and they did. They beat Paul Skeens. Again, Skeens didn't do that bad in the game, but the fielding behind him was bad. The bullpen wasn't good. I did lean Cubs and over in that game, and I was correct about both of those. Now the Cubs are going to St. Louis, but they do have this new momentum where maybe they'll continue riding it. And people are going to look at this and maybe think this is a closer matchup because St. Louis is a half game behind the Cubs here. It's a big series for both teams. It's a big divisional series, but I think the Cubs are just clearly the better team, though. And people might not think that because of their long losing streak, although St. Louis is now on a 4-game losing streak, and they're returning home from a road trip. So, I talk about that. Negative when a team returns home from the road, although in this case it was only from Cincinnati and Milwaukee, so it's not a long road trip distance-wise. They're staying in their area of the country. They're used to that because it was 2 divisional opponents. So that's not as bad, but still they were away for a week. They have to get back to home life. But then again, I don't really think they're going to overlook the Cubs either, so I don't think it's the worst return home spot there. The Cubs also played yesterday, as I just was pointing out. They used 3 relief pitchers where St. Louis was off. So the Cubs have a rest disadvantage here. But the Cubs do have the better bullpen. They're 8th. St. Louis is 23rd. So even with that rest, the Cubs might still have a bullpen advantage there. Hitting-wise, the Cubs have been better as well. They're 7th. St. Louis is 14th. So St. Louis has fallen off a little bit. Cubs also have the better starting pitcher here. So the Cubs have the advantage in all 3 phases of this game. But again, that matchup-wise, but again, they're at a rest disadvantage. But then again, St. Louis is returning home from a road trip, so that kind of negates that a little bit. Shota Imanaga is pitching for the Cubs. He's had a couple of bad starts recently. One was against Milwaukee, who just have historically wrecked him. But his last start was also bad, but still, I think he's a really good pitcher, man. 4.04 ERA, doesn't look great, but that does not tell the story. That ERA is going to go back down into the 3s. He's got a 1.07 whip. That indicates that ERA should be lower than that. He's been better on the road as well, 3.09 road ERA. Maybe it will be good for him to just go out on the road. His last 2 starts have been bad. One was, again, against Milwaukee, a team that just has his number for some reason. Then in his last outing, it looks bad because he gave up 7 runs against Houston. Houston's a pretty good offense, though, but he also got really unlucky in that game. It was off of 7 hits and 1 walk in 6 innings. He gave up 7 runs, 3 home runs. So basically everybody that reached base scored, and he still had a 6-1 strikeout walk ratio. So his command was still good there. So I'm not as concerned about that. I think he's going to be right back into form. He's a really good pitcher. He's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning by a lot on the season. His walk rate is not that bad, and his strikeout rate is also above 1 per inning. Too many home runs, though. 10 home runs allowed. A lot of it just because of those recent couple of outings, though. He is a fly ball pitcher, though, so that might hurt. I'd have to go back and look to see, was the wind blowing out in those 2 games where he gave up those runs? I don't know if it was, but I think the wind was kind of a non-factor in the Milwaukee game. I don't know about the Houston game. But anyway, I expect Imanaga to pitch better here. He'll be going up against St. Louis. This is a more pitcher-friendly ballpark as well. And St. Louis is a lesser offense, I think, than both Houston and Milwaukee. Imanaga has 52 at-bats against them. He's pretty much dominated them. 13 strikeouts, no walks, 192 batting average allowed, 519 OPS against St. Louis's current hitters. So I do expect Imanaga to bounce back here and pitch well. Andre Payante is going for St. Louis. When I looked last night, it was going to be Kyle Leahy, but they made a switch, and they're going to go with Payante, which is probably better for St. Louis. Payante is at least better than Leahy. Payante on the season has a 3.76 ERA, 1.25 whip. That's not bad. He's been worse at home, though. 4.82 home ERA, so he is more beatable at home for whatever reason, even though it's more pitcher-friendly here. He's been pretty good this month, though. His last 3 starts, he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all of them. He's got 5+ innings in all of them. Actually, if you go back, really over the course of the entire season, he's only allowed more than 3 earned runs twice. 17-6 strikeout walk ratio this month is not too bad. In 23 2/3 innings, 22 hits allowed. Over the course of the season, he's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning. His walk rate is too high, though. And his strikeout rate is also low. He's not really a strikeout guy. I'm not really a huge fan of his, and he does struggle more at home for whatever reason. And he's going up against a pretty good Cub offense here, and he does not do well against them historically. In 59 at-bats, 356 batting average allowed, 1,034 OPS, 9.9 strikeout walk ratio. That is not good. Bad numbers across the board for him against the Cubs, so I think I have to lean to the Cubs here to continue riding this momentum. I think there's a big edge here. If you wanted to go first 5 just to take the unrested Cubs bullpen out of the equation, you could do that. But I think full game still kind of makes sense because they are the better bullpen. The money's not agreeing with me, though. We have 70% of the tickets and 68% of the cash on the Cubs, so they're a public side with less of the money on them. They're about minus 140 something here. So the Cubs are in a money line price where I think I would still just play the Cubs on the money line. That would be my opinion in this game. Total is at 8. Money coming in towards the over in that game. I don't really think I see that. But, I don't have a great feel for the total because I think just looking at the matchup and the fact that both teams have negative situational aspects to this game, I think I would have to lean to the Cubs. Kind of similar to what I said with what was it? Was it Tampa Bay, maybe? I think I said the same thing about. So do with that info what you want, though. Kyle, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right, next game up is Detroit and the White Sox. And this is a game where I don't even know if the listed starters are actually going to start or if they're going to have openers in front of them or what these teams are doing here. It could be bullpen-esque for both these teams, even though I do think the listed starters here are going to get the majority of the pitching duties for these two teams. This is a game where if you handicap and you like something and you're assuming both these pitchers are going to get a starter's workload here, I would say make it an action play, which means that it's going to go regardless of which pitcher actually starts, because I think you will get both these pitchers in this game, at least at some point, but they might have an opener in front of them, you know what I mean? So action would mean it would still count, because you're handicapping this basically at least knowing that these guys are going to pitch. I hate these opener things, man. The books should change it so that it's like if this pitcher, well, I don't know how they would do that, though, because, you can't really say if this pitcher pitches more than a certain amount of innings or something like that, right? Because then, injuries happen and stuff like that. So I don't know. And the books don't want that to be the case. Like if an injury happens, that's just the way that it is in betting. It's like you got unlucky, man. Sorry. Anyway, Detroit at the White Sox. Both teams played yesterday. The White Sox are staying at home, and they had a good series. They beat Minnesota to win that series yesterday. So they have some momentum here. The Cubs have been a decent team this year, and they're staying at home. Detroit is traveling in from Detroit, so not really a bad travel spot for them either, and they just played poorly at home again, and they had a little bit of an earlier game. Both teams played in the afternoon yesterday, though, but Detroit had the earliest game, so they could get out of there. We lost the over in that game, and Anaheim had to tease us and get it right to the 8, right in the 9th inning. Then all you need is Anaheim's bad bullpen to give up 1 run. Come on, man. Garbage runs, bottom of the 9th. Nope. Detroit's offense is ass. I'm pissed. Anyway, Detroit, it's a decent spot for them, too. I mean, they're going back out on the road here off a bad home series, so they should be focused here. Both these teams, Detroit really has been struggling, man, but I think both these teams should still be motivated in this game. As far as the bullpens, I don't really like either of them. The White Sox used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Detroit also did. The White Sox bullpen is the somewhat worse of the two. They're at 25th, Detroit 21st, so they'll both have an ERA of above 4. Detroit's slight bullpen edge, though, I guess. White Sox have the better offense. They're 6th in offense now. Detroit has fallen completely down. They're at 22nd. Very, very bad. Detroit is going with Troy Melton. And if you look at what he's done this year, he's made one actual start this year. That was his only appearance. He made one start, and he was actually good. He went 5 2/3 innings at Baltimore. I think it was kind of a spot start. He only gave up 2 hits, 1 earned run, but he walked 3 guys. But maybe you can overlook that a little bit because it was his first start of the season. So give him a break for that. He had 3 strikeouts as well. He made 4 starts with Detroit last year, though he mostly came out of the bullpen. But his numbers were pretty good. He had a 2.76 ERA, 1.01 whip last year across all of that. But he was not a strikeout guy. That was the thing. His strikeout rate was low. He was not hittable, though. His hit rate was really low, and his walk rate was okay. So he's not really a strikeout pitcher. Doesn't blow guys away, it doesn't look like. But he's I think he's an okay pitcher. He's at least serviceable, I would say. The White Sox did see a little bit of him last year. They have 10 at-bats against him. They only have 1 hit, though. A single from Grichuk, so they have no extra base hits. 4-4 strikeout walk ratio, though, so some walks in there. But a 100 average, 457 OPS. Melton might actually pitch well again here. And the White Sox will be going with Eric Fedde, who has started sucking again after he was decent at the beginning of the season, but I kind of didn't think it would last, even though maybe, the change in scenery helped him a bit, or you would think might have helped him a bit going back to one of his former teams, but nah, he's starting to pitch badly again. 5.47 ERA, 1.46 whip, that's not good. He's better at home, though, significantly. 3.71 home ERA compared to 7.54 on the road, so he is better at home. He got lit up in his last game against San Francisco. That's not a good sign, dude. At San Francisco, they're a weak offense, and they play in a pitcher-friendly park. Not a good sign. Also not a good sign, Fedde has a 9.9 strikeout walk ratio this month and way above 1 hit allowed per inning. 7 home runs allowed this month as well, and an ERA over 10. He is completely out of form right now. I want nothing to do with Fedde here. Over the course of the season, he's got more than 1 hit allowed per inning. He's allowed 12 home runs, which is quite bad in the amount of innings especially. High walk rate, not good. Low strikeout rate, not good. There's not a whole lot to like here with Fedde. Against Detroit, his numbers are mediocre-ish in 28 at-bats, 7-1 strikeout walk ratio, 250 average, 776 OPS. That is a little bit on, it is above 750, so I would say that, yeah, Detroit's bats do have a slight advantage against them, but it's not that extreme. I do still lean towards Fedde not pitching well here, though, so I think I like Detroit in this game. There's no rest advantage one way or the other. Detroit getting out of home might help them a little bit. Detroit being favored on the road is absolutely insane, dude. And typically they're a better home team. They haven't been good either way recently, but the fact that Detroit is like minus 120 on the road, absolutely nobody, I would think, is going to want Detroit in this game. But the money's coming in on the White Sox, but I don't agree with that. 59% of tickets, 74% of the cash on the White Sox. I kind of lean Detroit. I would prefer Melton over Fedde at this point. Plus, I think Detroit has the slightly better bullpen as well. Yes, the White Sox have the way better offense. That is true, so you have to take that into account. But, again, this line looks so misleading. I'm surprised that the cash is actually coming in on the White Sox here. Again, it looks so easy to play the White Sox. Like, how are you getting the team with the better record here as an underdog at home? You know what I mean? The odds makers are telling you something with that, right? It just looks so easy to play the White Sox here. So that is not what I would do. But then again, if you want Detroit, you're laying them as a favorite, even though they're 8-21 on the road. They look like they've been just a team that's been just mentally, horrible. Like their mental state has been horrible since the Skubal injury. I don't know. And yes, the White Sox are good at home, 17-11. So if you're doing that, you are fading all of those things. I'm not playing the game, but I would lean to Detroit. It sounds insane, I know. Kansas City at Texas for Zach here. Texas is staying at home, and they just lost 3 out of 4 to Houston, and they've now lost, 7 of their last 8 games or something like that? 6 of their last 7, I mean. That is ridiculous, dude. This Texas team is not as bad as this. Again, just like last year, Texas is way underperforming, but their offense is a concern. Like, again, the Red Sox, their pitching has been pretty good this year for the most part, but their offense has been so bad that the pitching can't even carry the team. That's kind of what's happening here. Texas' pitching has been quite good, but again, just like last year, their hitting is so bad that it's not good enough. They play a lot of low-scoring games at home, so something to keep in mind. Texas, very, very pitcher-friendly. They should be in a decent spot to bounce back here, playing a Royals team that's really struggled this year. The Royals are coming in off of a series against the Yankees. I think both teams were off yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, Texas played yesterday, my mistake. Royals have a rest advantage then, so my mistake. The Royals did not play yesterday. Texas did. The Royals are starting a road trip here, coming down from Kansas City. They just got swept by the Yankees. What else is new? Did not look very good in that series at all, really. First game, they looked okay with Michael Walker. That was the under first 5 that we had a winner on here on the show. But since then, Kansas City's looked atrocious. I don't really like Kansas City here either, man. I think it's a bounce-back spot for Texas. Even though Kansas City has the rest edge, Texas still has the better bullpen. They only use one guy out of the bullpen, Cal Quantrill, who's still around. He's a long relief guy. Obviously not one of their better pitchers. So Texas' bullpen is intact and sets up well here, and they're the 7th-ranked bullpen with a better ERA than that. They're a good bullpen. Kansas City, not good. In fact, they're ranked dead last in WHIP, although I still think they're probably better than Houston. But they could be the 2nd-worst bullpen at this point. Bad stuff. Kansas City has the better offense here, but not by much. They're actually ranked worse now. My mistake. Texas is 23rd. Kansas City 25th. My mistake. 0.01 difference on the OPS there. So Texas, dude, I think they might have a starting pitching edge. They definitely have a bullpen edge, and they might have the offensive edge here. That has me looking towards Texas. Stephen Kolek is pitching for the Royals. He's got good numbers, but I don't really trust him. He's got a 2.77 ERA, 0.85 WHIP. I realize that's all good. He hasn't been as good on the road, though. 4.09 road ERA. I know Texas is a pitcher-friendly park, though. St. Louis also is, and he pitched well in that game against St. Louis. So really his stats are being skewed by a bad start at the White Sox. He's coming off a complete game shutout of Seattle, though, where he only struck out 2 guys. So here's the thing, man. He threw over 100 pitches, 14 more pitches than he'd thrown in any other outing this season. So that would have me worried a little bit, too. I know he's been around for a while now. He's 29, so it's not like he hasn't done this before. But when a guy throws that many pitches for the first time on the season, he has like one of his better starts of his career. I think he could be in line for a bit of a regression here, a bit of a letdown. So I would worry about Kolek for that reason here as well. He's actually given up no runs in his last 2 outings, and he's pitched well, definitely. But coming up that complete game shutout of Seattle, ton of pitches, 108. It's going to worry me a bit. We're not in the days of Cy Young anymore or whatever, man. We're guys will pitch 5 days in a row and throw 150 pitches every single time. We should go back to that. It seems like guys get hurt more now than they did back then, too. So what the fuck, dude? Everybody's just a sissy now. Kolek has a low strikeout rate, 14 in 26 innings, but he hasn't allowed a lot of hits, 17. Not a lot of walks either, 5. So he's not a strikeout pitcher, but he's been keeping guys off the bases. Against Texas, he does not have good numbers, although it's a small sample, 12 at-bats. They have 5 hitters who have faced him. They have a 500 batting average against him and 1288 OPS, 1 strikeout, no walks. So Kolek has been not good against Texas. He will be going up against Mackenzie Gore, who is having an okay season, 4.42 ERA, 1.24 whip. Mediocre numbers there, but he's been good at home, 2.63 home ERA. So this home venue has definitely helped him out a bit. He pitched really well last time out on the road against Anaheim after he had I think he had like a relief appearance in the previous outing against Colorado. I don't know what that was at Coors Field, but then he had a good start the game before that against Arizona too. So his last 2 starts have actually been good, but his walk rate is a problem. This has always been the case with him. He allows very few hits. He strikes out a good amount of guys, but he walks too many guys, and that's what's happening this year too. It's just the same. That you know what you're going to get with Gore pretty much. Although with that amount of walks, it does make the pitcher a little bit unpredictable. He's going up against Kansas City. Let me see here. He's got good numbers against them in 28 at-bats, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk, 214 average, 563 OPS. Those are good numbers, man. 10-1 strikeout-walk ratio, 1 extra base hit as a home run from Marte. Marte is like the only guy in this lineup that does damage against him, and he does hit him well, but the rest of this lineup doesn't do well against him, and they're pretty unfamiliar with him. So I like Texas in this one, even though I know they're at a rest disadvantage here. I prefer their starting pitcher. I prefer their bullpen still, especially because their bullpen is still rested here. The money doesn't agree on the money line, at least. 68% of tickets are on Texas at about minus 130 or so, but 57% of the cash on the Royals. I just don't see it, man. I don't. So I don't know. I lean Texas there, but do what you want with all that info. I'll be right back, and I'll talk about the rest of these games. And then we have WNBA and hockey still to come, but no more plays from me. And hopefully I'm picking the right games here with the games that I gave out, man. Because, I don't know, I went through this card, and I felt like I wasn't seeing it well. You know what I mean? So I don't like when I have that feeling. Some of these leans are going to hit, and then my plays are not. Like, that happens a lot. But, all right, I'll be right back. I don't even know if I can show the screen or not. I can give you the next game, Milwaukee and Houston. But other than that, or I can, go back to some, I don't know, I could play some, one of my, I'll play the old intro. How about that? I haven't used that in a while. I'll be right back. Intermission time. Intro mission. Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight, it was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. All right. Next game up is this Houston game, whatever it is. Milwaukee at Houston. So Milwaukee has a rest advantage. They did not play yesterday. They are coming off a sweep of St. Louis, so a nice divisional sweep, but starting a road trip with momentum, a lot of times you will be focused. I don't know if they're going to really be in a letdown off of St. Louis. I guess it's possible. Houston is coming off a nice series, though. They just beat Texas, and they're returning home from a road trip that was a long road trip. They have the longest road trip that they're returning from today, I'm pretty sure, where they went to Minnesota, the Cubs, and Texas, and they did well on the road trip. They swept the Cubs and took 3 out of 4 from Texas, so this looks like a bad spot for Houston. for a bunch of reasons. They're at a rest disadvantage here. They're returning home from a road trip. Could be a letdown spot as well. So a lot of negatives here. But are they going to overlook Milwaukee? I don't know, because they know Milwaukee is good. Still, I think it's negative, though. You return home from the road. You got to get back to home life and whatever. But so when I first looked at this, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be looking to potentially play Milwaukee here. But then I'm looking at the pitching matchup, and I'm like, I don't know, man. This is a pretty difficult pitching matchup to gauge. Milwaukee definitely has a huge bullpen edge, so there is that. So if you're going to play Milwaukee, full game is the way to do it. Houston used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, and their bullpen has been better recently, but they still suck, dude. They're at 27th. Like, I don't see them moving up that much. I could be wrong, but I don't think this is a good bullpen. The Brewers' bullpen is good, and they are, where are they at? They're 13th, but their ERA is pretty good, and they're rested, so I think the Brewers have a pretty big bullpen advantage here. Houston is the better offense right now. They're 5th, but the Brewers are not that bad, even though they're 17th. I think this is a decent Brewer offense here. The Brewers are going with Coleman Crow, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy? But he has good numbers, 2.61 ERA, .77 whip. Cameron Crow, what? He's got good numbers this year, but it's only in 2 starts. And they were both starts, but I think they were both spot starts because I have not handicapped this guy at all. So I think these are both games where they put him in as the starter last minute. They announced him. He pitched well in both outings, though, against Miami and Minnesota. Not the greatest offenses, really, but still, you got to give him credit for this. He's gone 10 in the third innings. He went at least 5 in both starts. 7 hits allowed, 3 earned runs allowed, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Those are pretty good numbers. Not a high strikeout rate, really, but decent numbers across the board. I looked, has he pitched in the past? The answer is no. So he's actually a rookie, even though he's 25. So that probably means an injury kind of came into play there, and that's true. I looked him up, man, but his scouting report really wasn't that positive, though. Like, they talked about, what kind of stuff he throws. He throws like a low to mid-90s fastball. He's got a curveball and a slider that I guess are both really good. So the curve and the slider are like his best pitches, like his breaking stuff. And then I guess he mixes in a changeup a little bit. But whatever. I mean, he's been decent so far. So he's a guy that I don't necessarily want to play on right now. But we know he has an unfamiliarity edge here too, though, and he has been pitching well. So I think the signs are more positive than negative for him. But I don't love his scouting report, man, where he was kind of projected as they projected him as a spot starter, which is what he is right now. That's not great, but he's making the most out of it, I guess. Houston has never faced him before, so he might pitch well here. I would actually lean more towards him doing well than not, but Houston's going with Kaiwei Tang, and he's been kind of sneakily pretty good, even though most of his numbers are pitching out of the bullpen, but he's made a couple of starts, too, and he's been not bad. He's got a 2.19 ERA, 1.05 whip. He's been good at home, 1.69 home ERA. He's made starters workload type of outings. I think they were both actually starts. The last 2 times out, he went 11 combined innings against Texas, which is kind of whatever. They're not a good hitting team. But then at the Cubs, he allowed no runs over that span off of only 4 hits, and he had 13 strikeouts. That's pretty good, but his walk rate was enormous as well, though. He had 7 walks over that span. So that's a bit concerning that it looks like when he goes more innings, he starts walking more guys. But I don't necessarily want to fade him here, though, because he's been pretty effective so far, nonetheless. Over the course of the season, decent strikeout rate, almost 1 per inning, a very low hit rate, and his walk rate is too high. What else is new? Especially in the starts, and most of his appearances have been relief appearances, though. So I don't know. Is he fadeable? Maybe. I still don't think he's fully trustworthy here, but the Brewers have never faced him before, even though he was in the National League a bit last year with the Giants. So I don't know. Both pitchers have an unfamiliarity edge here, at least. So I think this game is a little bit hard to predict, dude. I like Milwaukee. I think if I was going to play this game, that would be how I would lean, given how negative the situation is for Houston, in my opinion. Plus Milwaukee having the bullpen edge, and you could make the argument they have a starting pitching edge. 75% of tickets, 81% of the cash on Milwaukee. So the money kind of agrees, even though Milwaukee's public. I think I would, I am agreeing with myself. They're around minus 122 here. That's probably the way I would go is Moneyline Milwaukee. I think there are some arguments for the under here. The under looks like it is getting money. 56% of tickets, 71% of the cash on the under. I would do it first 5, though. I know Milwaukee has a rested bullpen, but Houston's bullpen is still a liability, dude. So the total's 8.5 full game. I think under first 5 makes some sense in this game. Both pitchers might be capable of keeping that under, but I think it is a bit risky. I think if I was going to play the game, yeah, first 5 inning under is a possibility, but I think I would much prefer being on the Brewers' money line in that game. All right, Giants at Colorado. Colorado is returning home from a road trip. They went to Arizona and the Dodgers. At least that was a divisional road trip. They did not do well on the road trip at all. They won 1 game out of the 7. But what do you expect when you're the Rockies and you had to play at L.A. for part of that road trip? Now they're back home. Again, it's a negative when you return home, but they might show up because it is a divisional series. They're in last place in the division. They might still show up for this. San Francisco is coming in off of getting swept by Arizona. So both of these teams got beaten by Arizona recently. San Francisco is starting a road trip. Neither of these teams played yesterday, I don't believe. So both teams have rest here. San Francisco is in the better spot, though, because Colorado's returning home from the road. I always talk about this, when a team returns home from the road, again, I'm going to say it, they can be distracted. They have to get back to home life. A team leaving home a lot of times does better because they want to get the road trip off on the right foot. Neither team used any relief pitchers yesterday because they didn't pitch. The Giants have the better bullpen. The Giants are 15th right now, but their ERA is quite good. They got the better bullpen. The Rockies are 19th, but their ERA is more than a run higher. So, yeah, Giants have a bullpen edge. Giants' offense is not good, though, although the Rockies' offense has kind of been struggling as well. They're at 25th. Colorado is. The Giants are 28th, so we have some offenses that are definitely struggling, but we have a 10.5 total here because it is in Coors Field. Now, the situation should line up for San Francisco here. Bullpen edge should be towards San Francisco here. Hitting is pretty similar both ways, and San Francisco, looking at this on the surface, you got to think San Francisco has a starting pitching edge here with Logan Webb returning from injury, by the way. But when you start looking into this, maybe not. So Webb is returning from injury. There was something wrong with him, obviously, because his numbers this season are not what you usually get out of him at all. He's usually a solid pitcher, dude. He usually gives you a lot of innings. He's usually going to give you like an ERA that's like in the high 3s and a whip in like the 1.2s. That's not what he's been doing so far this year. 5.06 ERA, 1.4 whip. I expect him to be better. I think there was something wrong with him, and he went on the DL or the IL. He's coming back, which I don't think that's much of a concern for a guy like him. He's a veteran. He's come back from injury before. I think that's fine. He's not like a particularly hard thrower either. Like, he doesn't really rely on velocity that much. He relies on like location, pitch mix, whatever. Webb is also really good on the road, which is really crazy to think about because San Francisco is good at home. I mean, they have a good pitching park at home. Webb was really good at home last year, but this year he's got a 3.96 road ERA compared to 6+ at home. Very interesting. He's been better on the road. He had a really bad outing last time out against San Diego, and that's kind of what put him on the injured list. Looking at his numbers over the course of the season, they're not that bad. He's allowed more than 1 hit per inning, though, but a lot of it was from that last outing. Too many walks, but he usually does have a little bit of a walk issue, and he's usually not a huge strikeout pitcher, so his strikeout rate is kind of in line with what you expect, not right at 1 per inning. If you look at his numbers this season, though, he also hasn't allowed more than He's only allowed more than 3 earned runs 3 times this season, so that's not really that bad. And he allowed more than 4 twice, and it was in his first start of the season against the Yankees, which the rest of the numbers in that start weren't even that bad, and the Yankees are a good offense. And then that last outing where he didn't do well against San Diego, and I think an injury got involved in that one. So, yeah, I mean, I think Webb is going to return to some sort of form at some point and be what we're used to him being. I don't know if it's going to be here, though, because his numbers against Colorado are not good. In 69 at-bats, 362 batting average, 838 OPS. That is not good. 11 strikeouts, 3 walks is fine. But, yeah, this is not a great matchup for him, man. I think he is still better than Michael Lorenzen, though. Lorenzen, going for the Rockies, he has really, really had issues this year, mostly at home in Coors Field. He's got a 7.21 ERA overall, 1.9 whip. This is really, really bad. I mean, Colorado is basically where every pitcher has numbers like this, though. It's where pitchers go to die, but he has particularly bad splits here. He's got a 10.03 ERA at home. Really bad stuff. His ERA is more tolerable on the road by 5 runs. He didn't do well on the road last time out, really, against Arizona. He pitched against Arizona twice in a row, did poorly in both starts. He's been awful at home, though. His last home start prior to that was against the Mets, and that was bad as well. Over the course of the season, low strikeout rate. His hit rate is really high. Like, he's probably allowed more hits per inning than anybody in baseball this year, with a sample size that's big enough. Really, really bad stuff. Extremely high hit rate, and his home run rate is high too, and I think a lot of that has been at home. Actually, I think he's allowed 5 home runs, both at home and on the road, so whatever. And his walk rate is not really that bad. But yeah, great. When you're so hittable, it doesn't even matter. His numbers against the Giants are also not good. In 40 at-bats, 325 average allowed, 847 OPS, 9-3 strikeout walk ratio. I mean, I have to kind of lean to the Giants here, I think, based on the fact that I still would rather have Webb here plus the Giants bullpen, but you're laying minus 170 something, so I think you'd have to go with a run line or something like that, and that's where the money actually is taking the Giants on the run line, as we usually see in baseball like this. I think you'd have to go split bet run line, money line, but the money line money is coming in against the Giants, 81% of tickets and only 74% of the cash on them. So there is some money taking Colorado here. I think I see arguments for an over here as well, which I just showed you, because both starting pitchers have bad matchup numbers. I know there are some things I don't like about it, like the rest, the day of rest, one team returning home from the road. I don't really love that as far as an over is concerned, but I think I would lean over. In fact, that might be the best actually way to play this game, is to go over, but you're going over 10.5. You're going to need runs here from a couple of offenses that have really not done well, so I would worry about that too. But the money does agree with it. We have 57% of tickets on the under and 58% of the cash on the over. I like the over in that one probably more than anything else, but I don't want to make that a play. Yankees at the A's, so the Yankees have to go to this horrible AAA stadium the A's play in. Speaking of overs, maybe this is going to be one too. The A's are staying at home here. They had yesterday off. Both teams were off yesterday. The A's got swept by Seattle at home. A's have been playing okay baseball. I mean, they might show up for a game like this against the Yankees. Yankees are coming off a sweep of Kansas City and now traveling to the Pacific Coast. So the situation looks a little bit better for the A's to me. I don't really want to do that, though, for a number of reasons. The Yankees have the better bullpen. They're ranked 10th, although their ERA is pretty solid. Athletics, 22nd. That's not good. Yankees have the bullpen edge. The Yankees have the better offense, although both offenses have been pretty good. Yankees are number 2. Athletics, number 10. Carlos Rodon is pitching for the Yankees here. He struggled in his first couple outings coming back from injury, but he was better in his most recent outing. He's got a 4.15 ERA. That's not too bad. 1.46 whip is pretty bad, though. So he's been putting a lot of guys on base, but I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass, at least in that he did pitch better in his last outing, and he's still, readjusting to pitching again, Like his numbers last year or whatever for the Yankees were actually pretty strong. So, and I think he kind of went under the radar and whatever. His numbers are bad on the road so far this year, though. 5.63 road ERA. But then the other thing I want to look at is, did he pitch in not Coors Field, in this A's stadium last year? I don't know. Last year he had very insignificant home road splits last year. But I wanted to know, did he pitch at the A's last year at all? And I looked, I don't think he did. Oh, no, he did. He was actually decent in that start. I didn't see that when I looked before. He pitched once in May at the A's last year. He went 6 innings, allowed 8 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 home runs. That's not that great, but he also had 10 strikeouts and no walks in that outing. So that really was not a bad performance from him. So I think he may do okay here. This year, he's actually got a decent ground ball rate so far. But usually that's not the case. Like if you look at his full season last year, he was more fly ball leaning last year. So that's not great for this stadium, but he did pitch well enough in this stadium last year. This year, he had 2 rough outings against Milwaukee and the Mets, but he bounced back a bit. He's trending in the right direction, at least with a decent start against Toronto. But Toronto's offense is not good, dude. The A's are going to be one of the best offenses he's faced so far. Arguably the best, because they're certainly better than the Mets in Toronto, and they may be better than Milwaukee's. Rodon still has a really high walk rate, 3+ walks in each outing so far, 11 walks in 13 innings, 17 strikeouts is good, but that walk rate is crazy, and 8 hits allowed. So he still has some issues right now. His numbers against the A's are actually really good, though. In 47 at-bats, 128 average allowed, 376 OPS, 16-2 strikeout walk ratio. Rodon actually has pretty good numbers there in the matchup. Luis Severino is pitching for the A's. The one thing to know about him, as I always point out, is that he pitches really badly at home in this A's stadium, and he pitches way better on the road. That was the case last year. It's been the case this year, too. He's got a 4.23 ERA, which is not too bad, but 1.44 whip. That's not good. That's too high. He's had a lot of problems at home. Like I said, 5.55 home ERA. That's not good. He pitched well last time out at Anaheim, but of course that was on the road. Had 10 strikeouts in that one. 2 earned runs, but now he's back at home, where the last time he was here, he got knocked around by the Giants, who are not even a good team, so that's not good. His previous home start was actually good against Kansas City, but that seems like more the exception than the rule. His overall numbers are not great. He has more than 1 strikeout per inning, which is good, but he's a bit of a fly ball pitcher, which doesn't help in this stadium. 6 of the 8 home runs he's allowed, I believe, have come in this stadium. He's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning, which is good, but his walk rate is crazy high. He's walking more than 1 guy every 2 innings. That's really not good. And his numbers against the Yankees, I am pretty sure, are not good. Yeah, they're not great. In 79 at-bats, 278 batting average allowed, 893 OPS, 21-12 strikeout walk ratio. None of that is good. So, unfortunately, I think probably the lean would be the Yankees here. The public's going to be coming in on that side, though. The money looks like it might be as well. The Yankees are around -150 or so here. I would maybe start looking towards a split bet on the money line and run line here. You could go Yankees over team total, too. That might be actually the better approach. Now, the Yankees are getting the money on the money line, 88% of tickets, 93% of the cash there. But I think if you want the Yankees, I think over Yankees team total makes more sense. And the total for the full game is 10, and the money is hitting the over on that, too. 64% of tickets are on the under for some reason, 52% of the cash on the over. So money is somewhat indicating on the over. And if you think the Yankees are probably going to be the right side here, and it's going to be higher scoring, I think we take the question mark of Rodon out of the equation, because I think there are some questions with him here. And we just go with what we know is that the Yankees have a pretty good big sample size where they hit well against Severino. We know he's bad at home. So that's the way I think I would go here, is Yankees over team total is probably the way to play it. I know I don't really do team totals, really. I know I did one with success the other day with the Oklahoma City Thunder. But NBA playoffs, I don't know, I feel a bit more confident about that than in other sports. Maybe I should start working those into my arsenal more, but this is one where I think I might do that. I think that's the better way to play that game, is Yankees over team total. But also, if you do that, you might need them to score. What do you need them to score in that game? 6 runs? I guess that's not that bad. It's definitely doable, and they will get all 9 innings for you, at least, at the plate. So keep that in mind. Plus, you get them facing an A's bullpen that's not that great. Arizona at Seattle. Seattle is returning home from the road. They went to Kansas City and the A's. So the final leg of the journey, not too bad, but they swept the A's. They overtook the A's to take first place in the AL West. So that's pretty big, dude. The only way they were going to be able to overtake first place was by sweeping the A's, and they did that, and now they're a half game above them. I do think Seattle is probably the best team in this division, but they're below 500 still. Every team is, but I think they could be in a letdown spot. That was a big divisional series, dude. Big sweep to take first place. Now they're returning home and playing an interleague game against Arizona. I don't like that for Seattle. I think it's a bad spot, letdown spot, distracted spot. I think it's a negative spot for Seattle. So I do not want to play Seattle in this game. Arizona is continuing a road trip, and they've been hot. They've won 5 games in a row, and they've won 10 of their last 11 games, I think is what this is. Arizona's pretty on fire right now, dude, and they're actually ahead of San Diego. Now, they must have a tiebreaker against San Diego in the NL West there for second place in the NL West. Kind of surprised by that because I don't really like Arizona's pitching much at all. But they might ride that momentum into this series, man. I think it is a better spot for Arizona here, continuing on the road. I don't really like Arizona's bullpen, even though they're ranked 3rd in WHIP, so I guess I can't argue about that much. But their ERA is still in the 4s, so I don't think they're actually the 3rd best bullpen, but I guess they're a decent bullpen. I think Seattle's just better, even though they're down at 17th. Their bullpen ERA is like a run better, so I think I prefer Seattle's bullpen. Both these teams were off yesterday, by the way, so the bullpens are rested here. Hitting-wise, Arizona's moved way up recently. They're at 10th. They've been hitting well. Seattle is, where are they? They're in the middle of the pack somewhere. Yeah, they're 15th. So both offenses, have been starting to do a little bit better here. Zach Gallen is pitching for Arizona. He hasn't been great. 4.8 ERA, 1.44 WHIP. He's been bad on the road, 7.25 road ERA. He's been way worse on the road, more than 4 runs worse on the ERA. But he is pitching in a pitcher-friendly Seattle stadium here, so that should help, you would think. He hasn't been pitching that well this month. He has a very evil 6.66 ERA this month with more than 1 hit allowed per inning, with way too many walks, almost 1 every 2 innings, not quite, but close, and fewer than 1 strikeout per inning. That's kind of been what he's done all season. He's allowed more than 1 hit per inning as well, which is not good. The walk rate is kind of high, and the strikeout rate is definitely too low for a guy like him, where I think he used to have better strikeout stuff in the past. Not good. I don't think I really trust Gallen here, man. Although his numbers against Seattle are actually quite good. In 46 at-bats, 152 average allowed, 546 OPS, 12-4 strikeout walk ratio. So there are some positives for Gallen, but I worry about his current form. I worry about his road numbers. George Kirby is pitching for Seattle. He's been pretty good. 3.54 ERA, 1.21 WHIP. A little bit worse at home, which is kind of surprising. 3.79 home ERA. Not that much worse than he is on the road, though. Seattle being a pitcher-friendly park. Kirby has been in pretty good form this month. He had 1 shaky outing against San Diego, but he's got 21 strikeouts, 5 walks this month. However, he's allowed more than 1 hit per inning, 27 and 23 and 2/3 innings, so that's not great. Over the course of the season, he's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning by a little bit. His walk rate is pretty low. His strikeout rate is not high, though, but he's been a big ground ball pitcher this year, which is decent, I guess. And his strikeout rate, you'd like to see it a little bit higher than that. Against, what are we talking about? Who are we talking about here? Arizona. He's got a small sample size against them, but good numbers. In 13 at-bats, they only have 2 hits against him, no extra base hits. Only 5 of their hitters have ever faced him. He's held him to a 154 batting average, 308 OPS, 4 strikeouts, no walks. So good numbers from Kirby here against Arizona. Based on the matchup numbers, you could definitely make an argument for the under in this game. And the bullpens are rested, and I guess I wouldn't necessarily want to exclude either bullpen here. The money is indicating that way. We have 77% of tickets on the over. The total's 7. So the odds makers are telling you that this is going to be a low-scoring game. 66% of the cash on the over as well. So the less of the cash than the tickets. So the money is kind of indicating towards the under here. I agree. I think that probably would be the way I would attack this game if I was going to play it. I would lean under in this one. I kind of lean towards Arizona as well. It seems like the money's coming in that way on the money line, at least. Seattle's a minus 150-something favorite. I don't know if they deserve to be that on the road, in a road trip return spot, although I think Kirby probably is the better overall pitcher than Gallen, though. I mean, we see the numbers. I think that is the case. And I like Seattle's bullpen better. So I think matchup-wise, yeah, Seattle does have some advantages there. Situationally, they don't. 66% of tickets are on Seattle. 54% of the cash on Arizona. Excuse me. I could see the arguments for it, and I think at least Arizona's pitching might match up well enough that it might be, I could see the argument for taking a shot with Arizona at a decent underdog price there. And maybe you could even do a split bet, run line, money line, and take them +1. Plus, it's a low total, so that means the underdog might stay in the game. A +1 run line, like make your own is what I meant. But yeah, because the low total, that means the underdog has a better chance to stay in the game. But I think under is still my preferred approach in that game. Apple TV has the last game, Philadelphia and the Dodgers, which is going to be one of the big weekend series, two big markets here. Dodgers have the way better record, but as I've been pointing out, Philly's not as bad as their record looks. But the Dodgers are staying at home. They just swept Colorado. I really don't even know if they're going to consider that to be a big deal. They've won 5 games in a row now. They've won 7 of their last 8. And actually, they've won a lot of games recently. I think they've won 12 of their last 14 games. Dodgers are playing some good baseball right now, but of course, they're the best team in baseball. And they have such starting pitching depth that they can overcome all these starting pitching injuries like they did last year. And then last year, going into the playoffs, their starting pitchers were healthy again and rested because they missed a huge chunk of the season. I almost think the Dodgers do that intentionally. Oh yeah, Glasnow is hurt again. Snell is hurt again. Like they want to get him a little bit of action earlier in the season. Then, oh yeah, they're hurt again. And then if I was the Dodgers, what I would do is I'd bring them back late in the season, get them a couple of starts towards the end of the season so they're ready again. Then you got them in the playoffs, you know what I mean? Philly is already out on the Pacific Coast, so they're not traveling that far here. They just swept San Diego. The games were pretty close. Philly's pitching was good in that series. Now, San Diego's offense is not good, though, and it is a pitcher-friendly park. Philadelphia's stepping up in class, though, to face the Dodgers, especially offensively. The Dodgers' offense is, like, in a different league than San Diego's right now. Both teams were off yesterday, I'm pretty sure, so we have rested bullpens. The Dodgers' bullpen has been excellent. They're number 2 in WHIP, but I think they might be number 1 in bullpen ERA. They've been a really good bullpen. Philly's bullpen has been okay. They're 14th, so not too bad. Dodgers have the number 1 offense. That's where the bigger gap is here. Philadelphia is 27th, so Philly has definitely struggled on the offensive side of things. Zach Wheeler is pitching for Philly, and you look at the starting pitching matchup, you might think, hey, this is actually a good starting pitching matchup for Philly. And yeah, Zach Wheeler, he's basically their ace again. Well, Christopher Sanchez has been so good, you got to consider him to be their ace now. But they basically have 2 aces because Wheeler has been their ace for so long, and he's still pitching like it. Since he's come back from injury, he's got a 1.67 ERA, 0.82 WHIP. That's all good. He's been good on the road as well, even better. 1.42 road ERA. He's made 6 starts so far, and he's been really good in all of them pretty much. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all of them, 2 or fewer in all but 1. Philadelphia has won all 6 of those games, and he's picked up a win in 4 of them. He has a 36-8 strikeout walk ratio in 37 2/3 innings, 23 hits allowed. All of that is good, and only 1 home run allowed. His numbers are really good across the board. However, the Dodgers have done a lot of damage against him in the past. They have 135 at-bats against him, and a lot of it is Freeman and Rojas. They have a ton of at-bats against him, but these guys have hit him well. He's got bad numbers against the Dodgers. 311 batting average, 970 OPS, 36 strikeouts, 28 walks, but 15 of those walks are Freddie Freeman. Freeman has absolutely destroyed Zach Wheeler, so I guess if you want player props, Freddie Freeman, even though you're probably not getting that much value on a guy with his name recognition, hits plus runs plus RBIs, you're probably looking at over 2. You might even be looking at 2.5. I don't know what you're looking at for a number there, but he's 21 for 54 with 2 home runs, 4 doubles, 15 walks, and 12 strikeouts against Wheeler. Wheeler has a lot of problems with him. But that does skew these numbers because, like, basically one guy is doing a ton of damage to him, but some of these other guys have hit him well as well. So I don't like the matchup for Wheeler here. Justin Robleski is pitching for the Dodgers. He's been good, 3.07 ERA, 1.11 WHIP, but his numbers are starting to regress, which I think is expected because he's kind of a junk pitcher who was overperforming. He's been a little bit worse at home, 3.38 home ERA. 2 of his last 3 starts have been kind of ugly. He's allowed 5+ earned runs in each of them, but he went pretty deep still into both outings, and still his strikeout walk ratio this month isn't that bad, 16-5. He's allowed a little bit more than 1 hit per inning here. He's facing the Phillies, who haven't been that great of an offense so far. Robleski has a really low strikeout rate, but his walk rate is pretty low and his hit rate is pretty low. So he's not striking guys out, but he's just not putting guys on base. However he's doing that, I don't know, because he's not a ground ball pitcher either. He'll be going up against the Phillies here. The Phillies have an 800 batting average off him and a 2,400 OPS, but it's only in 5 at-bats. But they're 4 for 5 off him with a Bryce Harper double and a Brandon Marsh home run off him. I know it's a small sample. You don't want to read into that too much, but this game is it's looking like an over to me, even though we have rested bullpens. The starting pitchers, I know that sounds insane, and the money's coming in on the under, because both pitchers have had good seasons. 62% of tickets on the over, 51% of the cash on the under. So the money's hitting the under, total of 8. But both starting pitchers have some kind of bad matchup numbers here, man. So I don't know if I like that. So I think I might lean over more than anything else in this game. But you have to worry about good bullpens. You got to worry about the offenses being cooled off, that type of thing. Of course, I don't really want to fade Wheeler, even though I know he has bad matchup numbers here. I'm not jumping out of my seat to go fade him when he hasn't had a bad start yet this entire season. Maybe it'll happen here against an elite offense, but still. The Dodgers are a -120 favorite here. 67% of tickets, 41% of the cash. So the money is fading the Dodgers here as well. Money coming in on Philly, and I can understand it. I mean, Wheeler versus Robleski looks like it is a pretty big edge to Philly, but I just showed you in the matchup numbers, it's not as big of an edge as you think. So those are my thoughts on baseball here today, man. Oh, sorry. Stacks, what's up, man? What's going on? Stacks, by the way, I believe Stacks, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Stacks had Owen Benjamin come to his farmstead there, and they did. What did you guys do? You did some videos, some podcasting. I don't know what you guys did there, but that's a big deal, man. Owen, the Giant, coming to your farm there. Hell yeah, dude. All right, WNBA, this will get a little bit easier to talk about here. This is going to be a long show today, though, unfortunately, because I just spent an hour and almost 2 hours just trying to do baseball, which I usually get it done in an hour and a half. I don't know why I'm taking so long this time. WNBA, we have 4 games here. I don't really like this card. We have Phoenix at New York. These teams just played each other, and I leaned to the Liberty in that one because they played some bad games recently. They bounced back. They got the win. I think they covered as well. So a good game for the Liberty, but now does it mean this is going to zigzag back towards Phoenix? I mean, it might. The Liberty had one really good quarter in that game in the third to get them that game and that cover. And I was correct. They covered. They covered the -4.5. The one big outlier here is the Liberty hit 47% of their three-pointers, but they did have more field goal attempts as well. But still, they're probably going to regress from three-point range. Like, that was just a crazy three-point percentage. They also hit 100% of their free throws, which is unlikely to happen again. And Phoenix went to the line more, but missed 8 free throws and only shot 64%, so they might get a little bit better from the free throw line, and the rebounds were even. So there are some indicators of maybe some regression coming for the Liberty here. And the Liberty have not played up to their talent level, though. I think they're one of the better teams in the league, but they're only at 4-4. But I would lean to Phoenix here. I think the regression and positive regression looks like it would indicate towards Phoenix in this game from what I just showed you. The Liberty don't have a big game up next, though. It's against Toronto. Like, who cares? An expansion team. But I think Phoenix might be able to make some adjustments here. That's kind of the idea with the zigzags, that the team that didn't play well the previous game, especially if there are some outliers in there, that team tends to play a little bit better. I would lean to Phoenix here, plus the points, and you're getting 5.5 now. It actually opened 6.5, and it closed 4.5 in the previous game, so you're getting a little bit of line value on Phoenix, too. After that last game, it looks like the line got skewed a little bit towards the Liberty for no reason other than that they had a good third quarter and hit a bunch of threes. The money seems to agree with me on this. 63% of the tickets and only 56% of the cash on the Liberty. So I would agree with taking Phoenix in that one, plus the points, the Mercury. Owen's coming on June 3rd. Hell yeah. So he's going to be on your show and doing some farming with you, right? Because you guys both live on farms. You guys both operate farms. Hell yeah. Washington is hosting the LA Sparks here. Washington's returning home from a long road trip. They've been on the road for 2 weeks. So that's a long road trip. They went all the way out to the Pacific Coast, too. So you know what I talk about. When a team goes on the road and they come back home, I think it's a bad spot. They've only had 1 day off, too. I don't like that. So they come home. I think it tends to be a distracted spot. You got to get back to home life. This is not a particularly good Washington team either. So I might be looking to fade them here. 2 of their 3 wins this year are against expansion Toronto and against Seattle, who's not good this year. So I don't think that Washington is a particularly good team. So right away, negative spot, bad team, distraction spot. Looks like you may want to look to fade Washington here. LA is coming in off a nice win, though. I gave out LA in that game. That was a winner for us on the show here. They upset Vegas in their last game after, I think, upsetting Phoenix in the previous game, too. They caught Vegas in a really good spot on the return home spot, which, of course, that is where they're catching Washington this time. But after that win over Vegas, which was a revenge win as well, over the returning champs from last year, I don't think this is a particularly good spot. And LA is having to come from Las Vegas all the way to Washington, and this will be their first. This is going to be the first time they're playing further east than Phoenix this season, so I don't like that either. First time to the Eastern time zone this year, so I think it's also a negative for LA, so I don't like the spot, so I can't really play the game. Other than, if you think it's a negative for both teams, you could maybe look over in the game. That's kind of what that's kind of my idea. Is that's what you want to do? Oh, this is the first game listed on this board here. I don't know why. The money is coming in towards the away team, LA, which I agree with. I mean, you're looking at that's on the money line. Hold on. On the spread, it's actually coming in a little bit on Washington, but I disagree with that. They're minus 2.5 right now. The money's come in a little bit on them to drive that line up, but 53% of tickets, 50% of the cash on Washington. So Washington is getting a little bit of the money, but I think I would lean towards fading them in this game. And the money's also on the under 167.5. I don't know if I agree with that, but a lot of money has driven that total down. 56% of tickets on the over, 66% of the cash on the under. Usually in a bad spot, though. I think it affects defenses more, so I don't know. I tend to lean over, but I don't really do anything with WNBA totals, so I think I would lean LA on the side, though, but I don't like the spot for either team, so staying away from that one as well. Minnesota at Chicago. This is going to be a repeat matchup of earlier in the season where Chicago beat Minnesota at Minnesota. So this is a road revenge spot for Minnesota here. Chicago, I don't think they're going to overlook the game, though, and that's one problem I have with this. So Chicago did beat Minnesota at home earlier, which is a big win. Minnesota was one of the best teams in the league last year. They're good again this year, although their best player, Collier, is still hurt for another probably week or more right now. But now Chicago, it's not quite revenge because they've actually played Minnesota twice, so my mistake. So it actually might be a zigzag spot in favor of Chicago here, so my apologies. Because Chicago actually did suffer the road revenge already. Minnesota got them back on May 23rd. Minnesota went into Chicago and beat them. So the road team has won each matchup so far in the season series. It's been a zigzag so far. So that might actually indicate towards Minnesota this time here. Or no, that might indicate towards Chicago, because they lost at home to Minnesota 2 games ago. And then coming off that game, they lost to Toronto, which I gave out a lean on Toronto in that game. It wasn't strong, but I thought Chicago being in kind of a Minnesota sandwich here, a Juicy Lucy. I didn't really like it, especially, Juicy Lucy. That sounds more ridiculous for a WNBA sandwich spot. If you don't know what the Juicy Lucy is, it's a Minneapolis, I think it's Minneapolis and or St. Paul creation where 2 different restaurants claim that they did it first. It's a cheeseburger where it's 2 patties that get mashed together with cheese in between the 2 patties and then it gets cooked with the cheese in between the 2. So when you bite into it, the cheese explodes in your mouth. It's very gay, although it's called the Juicy. Well, I don't know. Juicy Lucy. If you're biting into a Lucy, maybe that's not gay. And it also totally scorches your mouth and ruins your mouth because it's lava hot, like liquid hot cheese. Anyway, Chicago might actually bounce back here, man, because that was a bad game. They lost as a favorite against Toronto. The previous game, they were here at home and lost to Minnesota. Minnesota got the revenge against them. You got to go look at what happened in this game. Well, Chicago shot pretty poorly in the game. The field goal attempts were almost even, but Chicago shot 32% from the field. They also didn't shoot that well from three, although they took way more threes. So it looks like there might be some positive regression for Chicago. Shooting-wise, they might shoot better here, especially because Angel Reese isn't on the team anymore, bringing their field goal percentage down. So there might be room for some positive regression there for Chicago shooting-wise, but I have some major issues with it, though, man. Minnesota lost the turnover battle by 13 and still won the game by double digits. That's bad for Chicago. Chicago had 9 more free throw attempts and hit 6 more free throws and still lost by 10. That's not good. And perhaps worst of all, Minnesota absolutely wrecked them on the rebounds, 54-28. That is not something I would really necessarily want to fade here. Minnesota, they're coming into this game off a nice win over Atlanta, and they did beat Chicago in the last game, the game prior to that. So I still think the situation does set up for Chicago. There is some room for regression there, positive regression shooting-wise, but there are a lot of things that indicate that Minnesota dominated that game, so I don't really love it that much. Minnesota is also a good defense, so it's not totally out of character for them to have their opponent not shoot well. You know what I mean? Some of that is because Minnesota's defense is good, so I'm going to stay away. I will slightly lean towards Chicago here plus the points, but I don't love it. Minnesota, 66% of tickets, 60% of the cash. They're laying 4.5, which is about what they were laying in the previous game as well. So the odds makers are telling you Minnesota's the better team, even without Collier. Once she comes back, they're going to be a top team in the league. But, yeah, even right now, they're laying points on the road. But the money is indicating towards Chicago. I will agree slightly. Atlanta at Portland is the last game. This is a complete mismatch. Atlanta is one of the better teams in the league, even though they have Angel Reese, who I don't like. She's a good rebounder, though, but she's a terrible offensive player. Portland is an expansion team, and I know they're 5-3, which isn't bad, but I mean, what have they done? I don't know, man. I mean, they've beaten Connecticut twice. They've beaten Toronto. I mean, I know they beat New York twice, which is crazy, but the Liberty have really been struggling so far, so I don't know. I'm not really that impressed by what Portland has done so far here. You know what I mean? Like 3 of their 5 wins are against bad teams. Portland is staying at home. They did just beat us, and they should not have even won that game, as I already lamented on the show. Connecticut just stopped scoring at the end of that game. Dude, Connecticut was winning by 5 with 8 minutes to go in that game, and they lost by 10 and didn't even cover the 6.5 for us. Come on, man. Connecticut scored 2 points over 8 minutes right near the end, or over 7 minutes, whatever, right near the end of that game. Unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. Absolutely insane. So, and then Connecticut only hit 1 3 in the game. There were some major, major outliers in that game, too. So, Portland is not as good as they looked in that game. So, I don't like it for that reason. However, they're going to get up for a game against Atlanta. You know, you're going to get up for a game against a team that's one of the better teams in the league. You know, like, you're not going to overlook Atlanta, but Atlanta might be too much for them. Atlanta is coming off that loss at Minnesota. That was a big game, but they lost by double digits, so they may be kind of in bounce-back territory here. I don't have a strong opinion on this one. This game is a hard one for me to figure out, because if you want Atlanta, you do have to lay a lot of points on the road here, a 9.5, and that's gone down from 10.5. 38% of the tickets, 62% of the tickets are actually on the underdog here, but it looks like it's a public underdog on Portland, so 62% of tickets on Portland. I don't like that, but 64% of the cash on Portland as well. So Portland is getting more of the money here. But to me, they look like more of a public underdog, though, and that is not something I would want to deal with. Like, it almost looks crazy to get 9.5 points with a 5-3 team against a 4-2 team. You know what I mean? So I do think Portland might be a little bit public there as an underdog, which I don't want. I think I would lean towards laying it with Atlanta there, but I don't want anything to do with it. And then we have hockey to finish this off. Carolina has a chance to end the series here and give us our Stanley Cup final matchup that is probably already going to happen. Carolina is a big favorite here. Carolina has dominated this series, dude. I think they're going to win. I think it is over here, but I don't want to put money on it. You're laying a huge price for them here. I've had a good read on the series. I gave you guys Montreal in game 1 because Carolina was coming off a ridiculous 11-day layoff. And they started out really bad. They had a horrible first period in the game, and that's why Montreal won. Since the first period in that game, Carolina has absolutely dominated. I know they only won a couple of the games in the series 3-2, but if you look at the stats, as I've already pointed out, Carolina has dominated every one of these games statistically, not even close. Montreal has not even gotten to 20 shots on goal in any of these 3 games. That is ridiculous. The Carolina is stifling them defensively to that extent, not even having to rely on Anderson that much to get the job done, although he shut Montreal out in the last game. I think they had 18 or 19 shots in this one. Montreal had 12 shots each in the prior couple of games. That's not going to get it done, man. And they had 9 in one game in the first series against Tampa Bay, and they won that game, which is ridiculous. Montreal should not have even gotten through that Tampa Bay series, dude. I'm sorry. Carolina is clearly the better team. And, the whole knock on Carolina was they can't win in the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah, but that was because they were playing against Florida, who was like their kryptonite. And Florida was a very experienced team. Montreal's not. Montreal's a young team. Carolina's the way more experienced team. They've been here. They've done this before. And now that Carolina has won 3 games of the series, obviously, they've completely destroyed that Eastern Conference Finals curse. It's done, man. I mean, Carolina's just playing really, really good hockey here. They did have an empty net goal in the last game, but the score wasn't even misleading. Carolina outshot Montreal 44-18 despite being ahead the whole game. Hits were even, and Montreal won the face-off battle by a little bit, but still, Carolina has dominated offensive possession in this entire series. I don't think they're going to lose this game. Even if they do, I think they're going to win the series. Now, the one thing that you do have to point out is that this line is high. Carolina was probably about minus 220, I think, in the other home games. So you're laying too much of a price for Carolina here, in my opinion. Montreal has also still been a good road team in the playoffs. They're still like 7-3 or something like that on the road, straight up in the playoffs. And Carolina's only playoff loss was at home, but that was, again, an outlier because that was that first game against Montreal where they were returning home coming off an 11-day layoff. So I think you put an asterisk next to that. And that, by the way, Carolina has not lost in the playoffs aside from that game. Just pointing that out. So I'm not ready to say Carolina's bad at home. No, they're not. In the playoffs. Montreal is better on the road in the playoffs, though. That is true. But Carolina has only lost that one game at home. So, yeah, I mean, I think Carolina wins the game. I don't want to do anything with it. The money is hitting them on the money line, even though they're at minus 250, and the money's coming in on them on the puck line as well. 80% of tickets, 85% of the cash on them on the money line on Carolina. Similar money on the spread as well on the puck line. I'm not going to go against it. I mean, if you are going to play Carolina, though, you got to play the puck line. And, they've been so dominant in the series, they might be able to do that anyway. I don't want to do it, though. I don't. The money's coming in a little bit on the under as well. 55% of tickets on the over. 55% of the cash on the under. I can kind of see the argument for that because Montreal's offense has been stifled so badly by Carolina throughout this series. And again, Montreal scored 4 goals in the first period of game 1 when Carolina came in rusty. And since then, their scoring has been completely in the trash. So, yeah, I mean, under, I guess, makes some sense. Under the 5.5. I don't want to do that either, though. When it's a 3-1 series like this, things can get a little bit out of hand, out of control. You might get some penalties, some power plays at the end, some crazy crap, some empty netters. I don't want to deal with that. This game is on TNT, True TV, HBO Max. Watch it, of course, if you want. I still think maybe the way to do it is still to just lean Carolina there, but I don't want to play the game at all. That's going to do it, man. Long show, Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. I do not have a good feeling about this, just so you know, but my 2 plays today are the first 2 games on the board. over 9.5 Braves Reds. And the other one is first 5 innings under 4 Twins Pirates. We're Jonesing, baby. Jared Jones. Let's go back to it, man. Up against the Taj Mahal. Let's do it, man. Hopefully it'll be a Taj Mahal of money that we'll be bringing in with those plays today. I don't know, man. I don't think I have a good feel, though. I felt really discombobulated. Like, I did the handicapping mostly last night. Then, some of the pitchers changed. I don't have a site that I can use anymore at all right now with the way the sites are with the betting split. So I'm using that, whatever the fuck that site is that I was just looking at. Tough going for me, man. I might have to start buying Odds Logic, and I want to save my money, so I don't know. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Check it all out. You can subscribe to me on Twitter. You get in a group chat with us, although it's not very active, but Jeffrey asks questions in there sometimes or whatever. Jeffrey, come back to the show, man. You don't have to bet these things. You can still listen to me. So you can check that Twitter subscription out if you want to support me that way. Obviously, subscribe to the show here, tell people about it. We're still on a good run here, man. Hopefully that can continue. Obviously, there are going to be down swings, though, so I'm expecting there might be some bad ones incoming, but we'll see. Baseball's been really good this season, though. Surprisingly, it's been NBA playoffs that have been my weak point so far. NHL playoffs have gone well. WNBA has gone well, so whatever. What else did I have to do? Have to promote here. We're on audio with this show as well. Apple, Spotify, Spreaker. Going over there helps me out as well. Losercast every Tuesday night. You can check that out. You can find that. All of this is in my link tree. And the G-Spot Giants podcast. I presume, I keep saying that, I know. I got to talk to Ben. We should figure something out, man. Get the season preview episode of that going. That's going to do it. I appreciate everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Let's get these wins on these baseball totals, hopefully. Peace.
But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now.